Number 78. The Spirit and the bride say, come, come, drink of the water. Whosoever is thirsty, come, drink of the water. Healing rivers flowing forth, flowing from the throne of Yahweh. The river of life, pure and free, healing waters deep and wide. Come to the fountain, come to the source of life. Come, taste of the Spirit, the Comforter is here. Yahshua has been glorified, He now sits on Yahweh's throne. There is a healing river flowing from the throne of Yahweh. The healer of life, pure and free, healing waters deep and wide. Come to the fountain, come to the source of life. The river of life, pure and free, healing waters deep and wide. Come to the fountain, come to the source of life.
Hallelujah. Heavenly Father, we submit this time into Thy hands. Open our understanding. Help us to know Thy word and to understand. We need Thy presence in our midst to guide us and help us. We pray in the name of Thy Son, Yahshua the Messiah. Amen. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Are we not happy to be in the presence of Yahweh on this holy day?
Yeah. Hallelujah.
Yes. This day we have heard Yahweh's speaking to us through the Torah. I want to be very, very simple today. For the people who are here, I just don't want to be complicated. Rather, I want to speak the simple word of the gospel. And I'm sure you'll be blessed. I want to take you back to the basics. The very foundational truth that we all need to understand. If we do not get this foundational truth, then our faith is in somewhere, groping in the dark. And our faith will not, will not be on firm ground. So that's why I would like to give this foundational truth. And once you have this foundational truth, and I'm sure you'll be able to build every other thing on this basic foundational truth. What is the gospel? So I would like to interact with you people today a little. What is the gospel? What do you think is the gospel? Is there something called gospel?
Yeah.
So what is the gospel to you?
Something. It was the life story of Yahshua.
Okay. The life story of Yahshua. Anybody else has any other? Instruction. Well, many a time, people say, if you ask some of the people, gospel means is the 4 books, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, is the gospel, some people will say. But others would say gospel is the good news. God's spell is the good news. If there is a good news, there should be bad news, right? Am I right? If there is good news, what do you think is the bad news, brother?
Getting lost in the Babylon.
Oh, getting lost in the Babylon. Okay? This is the reason why I'm trying to come to this particular subject and the very foundational truth in which we need to have our foundations built on solid rock. And if this foundation is not built on a solid rock, then we will be groping in the dark. Our very foundation will be shaken. Please listen to this day's message very carefully, and may it be part of your foundation. When I said there is a good news and there is a bad news, and you gave some answer to the bad news, and there is some other answer to the bad news, I would like you to go back to the book of Genesis. Genesis is the book of beginnings. If we need to directly go back to the book of Genesis, and I would like to introduce you to the book of Genesis, although you have read many times. I would like to introduce to you the book of Genesis. As yesterday brother spoke about, in the beginning, okay, he created heaven, he is the creator. Beautiful verse, wonderful verse. And what did he create in the first day? He created the light. What did he create on the second day? Created the firmament and separated the waters and the seas. And third day, he separated the waters and created the land. Just as he did these first three, on the fourth day, he did the filling. Fourth, fifth, sixth day. Fourth day, he created the sun, moon, and stars. As we know, moeds for seasons, other things, for day and night. And then fifth day, since he created the second day, the firmament and the waters, he created the sea animals and fish and the birds. He's a Elohim of order. And on the sixth day, third day, he created the land. He created the land animals, and the crowning act of creation was man. Now I want to ask you, when he created man, whom he called Adam, did Adam see creating all these things? Did Adam see Yahweh creating all these things? He simply has to believe. He told him, I created all these things, and he simply has to say, yes, yes, you created. And then you see that Adam is given the dominion, authority, and he is naming the animals, and then he finds there is no helpmate, and then Yahweh puts Adam to sleep, and he brings out of his rib, he creates a woman for him, and what we call Hawa, and he brings it to Adam, and I say, I created her for you. Now, did Adam see Hawa being created?
No.
He has to believe Yahweh's word that he has created. Now, my friends, if he is the creator and he says, I have created all these things, then if someone is the creator, you will what? You will love him. Yes. You will obey him. So he put them into a beautiful garden. Today I'm going to be very simple and I'm going to make it more interesting to you. He put them into the garden, and he says you can eat from all the trees. But the tree in the midst, he puts one tree of good and knowledge of good and evil, you shall not eat. And what does it say? I want you to take Genesis chapter 2 verse 17.
But of the tree of knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat, For in the day that you eat of it, you shall surely die.
Hallelujah. Very express command. You shall eat from all the trees, but in the tree that is in the midst, you shall not eat. And if you eat on that very day, you will surely die. Now, is this an express command? Yes. And there's nothing that he has told them any other thing. See, why? He said, if you believe that I am your creator, if you believe that if I am your creator, then you will love me, you will obey me. So love motivates obedience. Now comes the test. This is the story of beginnings. Now we'll take Genesis chapter 3 and we will start. Someone help me to read Genesis chapter 3 and verse 1.
Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which Yahweh Elohim had made, and he said unto the woman, Yea, hath Elohim said, ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden.
Now who comes? Serpent. What does he speak? He starts speaking to Hawa. And he says, what does he ask? Did unto the woman, Yea, hath Elohim said, ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden? You see, this is putting a seed of doubt. Whenever Satan comes, he will always put a seed of doubt. And did he tell you not to eat from all the... Now he's starting a conversation. Remember, whenever the adversary comes, he doesn't come straight away. He will come, he's very subtle. Isn't it? He says, now the beast of the field has made, what he says, was more subtle. Okay. What means subtle? Cunning. Cunning. So remember, the cunning deceiver doesn't come straightforward with the horns on his head, and he will use a medium. So maybe human, maybe whatever medium, he will use a medium. So we need to. Second question. Here you have two human beings were able to converse with each other, talk. Can a serpent talk?
Yes, those days, yes.
Anywhere does it give? We don't have. Okay. Now we must remember, whenever such thing, if Hawa would have understood that how is this one conversing, she would have immediately identified this is a deceiver who has come. However, we have no biblical thing that the animals were talking. They had their own language, humans had their own language. However, we will go to so this is a seed of doubt that the adversary is putting into the mind of the first creation. And now what happens? What does verse 2? Continue, brother.
And the woman said unto the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden.
And the continue.
But the fruit of the tree which is the midst of the garden, Elohim hath said, you shall not eat of it, neither you shall touch it, lest you die.
Now, she tells the truth. Yahweh has told us not to. We can eat from all the trees, but from the tree which is in the middle, we shall not eat it. And she is so very careful. She says that he has told us not to touch it also. That means going near it also is dangerous. She knew that. Does it give you idea that she knew very well that this tree is a forbidden tree? Yes or no? He was very clear to her that this tree you should not eat it, nor even go near it or touch it. That much.
Here, she goes in adding to his word. He said, surely you should not eat it. The day you will surely die. He never said, lest you touch it.
Okay.
She adds.
No, I just said to you, what I said, she knew, what I'm trying to say, she knew this tree is not to be even, not only to eat it, not to go near it also. Means There is an expectation. Like when we say a certain thing, like when we say Yahweh says, okay, do this on this thing. We are very, very careful for a small thing. So similarly, she was so very particular. She knew very well. That's what I'm trying to get to. The point is, she knew very well that this tree is not to be touched or eaten. Okay, Yahweh's command is there on this tree. Now, verse and what she says, you shall not eat of it, nor neither shall you touch it, lest ye die. And verse 4.
See, lest you die. That means you may die. Jehovah said you will surely die.
No.
She diluted.
No, lest ye die.
Lest means you may die.
No, it's not a may. She knew very well that it is a death
But
is
Yahweh
pronounced.
never said anything about touching it.
Touching it.
It never said.
No,
That's what I
very,
said.
very
What she added additional to tell to the other one, the one who has come, to tell to the other one that this tree is a dangerous. We cannot eat it nor even touch it. That's her added word. Okay, that's an added word. But I'm saying she.
Added word to Jehovah's word. His word we should not add
Okay,
nor subtract.
fine. Now what happens to the verse 4?
And the serpent said unto the woman, you shall not surely die.
Here is his deceiver. He's saying, when we read Genesis chapter 2:17, saying, you shall surely die. And here is this one coming, he's just adding not. You shall not surely die. And this is how normally more truth and small error makes the whole thing error. And this is how Satan comes and deceives. He says, you will not surely die. You will surely die, you will not surely die. And what happens in verse 5?
For Elohim doth know that in the day you eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and you shall be as mighty ones, knowing good and evil.
Okay. He says, your eyes shall be open. Were the eyes closed that time? Were the eyes closed? Spiritually. So what's saying that right now, okay, you know only good, but you are going to see what is hidden from you, something which you are going to see. And he says, and you shall knowing good and evil, and this is what you come to know, and this is what is hidden from you. And what does the verse 6 says?
And the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise. She took of the fruit thereof, and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat.
Okay. When the woman saw that the tree was what? Good for food. Good for food. What is this? Do you remember? Lust of the
Eyes.
flesh.
Yes.
Good for food. Pleasant to the eyes. Lust of the eyes. And make one wise. Pride of life. These are the temptations normally Satan always brings. The three temptations, whenever come. Lust of the flesh, lust of the eyes, and pride of life. What he says, the moment you do this.
The pride of life here, Satan says you will be like God.
Yes.
That
Exactly.
what made them
Yes.
eat.
Yes.
You are not
Yes.
bad.
Okay. That is what only wise. What he's talking about wise is that simple. Yes.
He's telling them the creation, you will be like creator.
Exactly.
Means substituting Yahweh.
Yes. So when you what happens after that? He says he is bringing this threefold temptations. He's saying, and this he is finding it is he's saying, and when she saw, she found that the fruit was good for food, pleasant to the eyes, and the tree to be desired to make one wise. She took and she ate and gave it to Adam, who was with her. And did they eat? They did eat. And what happens to verse 7?
And the eyes of them both were open, and they knew that they were naked, and they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves aprons.
Okay. So what the eyes of them both were open. Were they closed before?
Spiritually they were.
Exactly. So here that they found they were naked. What is naked? You see, whenever you find your sin, when you sin is nakedness. It is here, they were here pure under the robe of righteousness of Yahweh. Here they have lost that robe of righteousness, and now what they happened? They found naked, and they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves aprons. Now what did they do? They covered themselves with fig leaves. Now, why did they cover themselves with fig leaves? I'll just mark this one, I will come to that point. Second thing is,